What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about all the different errata cards that we might see in the tournaments coming up. Most of them are pretty unpopular cards, however there are a few that you're probably going to see, especially if you're playing against Shadow Paladin or Nubatama. But with all that being said, for those of you who don't know what an errata card is, basically Bushiroad fucked up and either put the wrong name, rarity, effect, in some cases the wrong art on the cards, so just basically look out for these cards, make sure you're not getting screwed by having the effect go off in the wrong way. So to start off the list, we have Shura Stealth Dragon Kabuki Kongo. So the original ability is when placed, if your Vanguard is Shura Stealth Dragon Kujikiri Kongo, this unit gets plus 3000 power to the end of the turn. Then you can counterblast 2 and return all of your opponent's rearguards in the same column as this unit. Then your opponent chooses cards from their hand equal to the number of cards returned and discards them. So what it doesn't say on the original card is that those cards that are bounced return to their hand, which is like pretty obvious to most people. However, someone could cheat you and say they get returned to the deck. The next card on this list is Aggregate Knight Fierno, whose ability is Counterblast 2, call a card from your hand to rearguard and give that unit plus 10,000 power. It does not say until the end of the turn, and it should. Following that, we have the biggest meme card pretty much ever. I don't know how many times I've made a joke about this. It is Swift Archer Fushimi. So this card has the auto ability that when placed, you choose one of your units and give that unit the ability to attack the back row. I've never seen a version of the card that said from the back row, but apparently enough people were confused by it that they had to change it. So allegedly this card at one point said attack from the back row. I've never seen that happen though. Now the next three cards are all Shadow Paladin cards, and they all work in the exact same way for their erratas. Basically they all have the ability to retire your opponent's units originally. You know, if Blaster Dagger boosts and hits, you shouldn't be able to retire your opponent's Vanguard. But yeah, those three cards are Blaster Dagger, Blaster Rapier, and Phantom Blaster Dragon. So just keep an eye out for those, don't get cheated by that, but it's pretty obvious for most players. Next up is a weird one that apparently they did twice in one set. Stealth Rogue of Silence Shijima Maru should be a common, and Stealth Fiend Hamper Gapper, which is an awful name to pronounce, should be a rare. So those two rarities were switched when printing. Next up we have Cursed Lancer. This is a Shadow Paladin card. I actually saw someone misplay with this in Toronto at the regional event there, so don't be that person. So the original ability was that this card must be called to an open rearguard circle when you would call it from hand. However, it should be that it must be called to a rearguard circle that has a unit already in it. So pretty big difference. You have to basically call it to replace a unit. Next up we have Narada because people are dumb. There's nothing wrong with the original text, however people are just real confused by simple text apparently. So originally it said when placed, if you have 2 or more grade 1 or less rearguards, you can counterblast 1, give this unit plus 3 and draw a card. People were confused by 2 or more grade 1 or less rearguards, so now it says if when placed, if you have another grade 1 or less rearguard. No change in that. Then we have Battle Siren Viviana. Originally, when the attack that it boosted hit a Vanguard, if it's the third battle or more for the turn, you can put it to Soul and draw a card. It should be that you put it to Soul, draw a card, and give one of your units plus 3000 power. Following her, we have Assault Dragon Blaytops. The original ability shows that it's continuous, however it should be an auto ability, because it can't continuously die on rearguard. Vicious Claw Dragon Laceterex is exactly the same. When it's retired from rearguard, should be an auto ability, not a continuous one. Now we're on to the most important errata of the entire set, and that is Wonderboy, who should be a human, not a goblin. Very important. It will change the entire gameplay of that game. Next up we have King of Sword. Originally, when its attack hits a Vanguard while boosted by Queen of Heart, you can counterblast 1 to stand one of your rearguards. The correct ability is that when placed from hand onto rearguard or Vanguard, you Soul Blast 1 and give 2 of your units plus 3000 power. If you have 5 units or more, give 5000 power instead of 3. I do not know how they made this weird card so different from the original, but strange. It's kind of weird that it doesn't work with Queen of Heart at all. But yeah. Then we have Queen of Heart, whose original ability was that when it boosted King of Sword, you could Soul Blast one, give the boosted unit plus 5,000 power. The correct ability, which again is super different than what it is on the card, is that once per turn when your opponent uses a Sentinel, you can stand this unit. So super different. It is a standing rearguard on its own, which is pretty cool for being used on Excel circles, but still not great. Also, there's a second error where originally the card text says 8,000 power and it should be 7,000. So watch out for both of those. Another very important errata, just like Wonderboy, Snowgull's name should be Snowgull. There's not supposed to be a U. And the last errata card is Demonic Dragon Madonna Joka. The original ability was Act on Rearguard. You can put it into your soul, give one of your units plus 5,000 power to the end of the turn, and if one of your opponent's rearguards would retire, you can give it plus 10 instead. Now the correct ability is Auto. When the attack that it boosted hits Vanguard, Soul Blast one and bounce it to your hand. Super different text, so be aware of that. And yeah, those are all the different cards that have erratas that basically people can mess with you a little bit by putting a card down and giving it the wrong effect. And yeah, I hope this is a great resource for anyone who's watching. With all that being said though, I do want to thank Decimus, Akuyaza, and DigitalDrew92 for supporting me on Patreon. If you would like to support me, please check out the link in the description down below. Remember to subscribe and leave a like if you did enjoy this video. And with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.